Now, in industrial applications, it's really essential that high power electric motors keep working reliably. And one way of achieving that is to choose the correct packaging for the power electronics. In this upcoming webinar, DJ Balocco from On Semiconductor presents a new packaging approach called TM-PIM. TM-PIM. That packaging method he's going to explain can make all the difference for your design. During the webinar, please feel free to submit any queries to the presenter, to DJ, through the questions and answers option, Q&A it's called, and it's found in your Click Meeting screen. It's a tab, it's a little tab, and you just click on it and type your question to DJ right live during the webinar. And after DJ's webinar, I will select questions from the Q&A box for answering by DJ. So stay tuned till the end to watch also the questions being answered. They are usually very interesting and good to the point. So TM-PIM, DJ, what's all that about? Over to you for the presentation and get the motors running. DJ.
So the topic of today is increased reliability and robustness for industrial motor control. We'll see 3 different kind of module for different applications and those modules are called IPM for integrated power module, PIM for power integrated module, and the new module we are introducing that we call TM-PIM for transfer mode power integrated module. So just before I start, I'm Didier Balocco from onsemi. I have an engineer diploma degree in the Engineer School of Bordeaux in France, and I have made a PhD in Bordeaux, obviously not on wine, but on PFC, and I've obtained my PhD in 1997. After that, I joined Alcatel in France to make AC, DC, and DC-DC converter for telecom, and I have made also DC-AC equipment for solar. I have covered a range of 1 watt to 150 kilowatt. That was until 2014. And in 2014, I joined onsemi as a FAE for south of France, Spain, and Portugal. And in 2018, after the acquisition of Fairchild by ON, I moved to technical marketing engineer for Europe and focusing mainly on power application in industrial market. So the content of the presentation today is a brief introduction with motor control application. I will after that review the existing solution from onsemi and introduce the new release product. Then I will introduce the new concept of transfer mode power integrated module. I will, at the end, analyze the pros and cons of the all solution available within onsemi, and then conclude my talk. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask questions during the presentation. So, motor control is changing, and year after year, what we see is that it starts with AC induction motor, very big and efficient motor, and move to brushless DC motors with a higher efficiency, 60%, and much smaller motor, and much more rotation speed of the motors. So we have different kind of motor, brushless, brush DC, induction motor, synchronous motor, and so on. Why brushless DC motor is becoming the more popular motor is mainly because it's the most efficient type of motor. And with the new energy rules or standards asking for a more efficient use of the energy, brushless DC motor is the solution for that. Regarding pros and cons about brushless motors, Pro, they have a high reliability because there's no mechanical contact inside, no mechanic friction. And if there's no friction, we can get high-speed drive up to 4,000 RPM. It's a synchronous motor, and all the mechanical switch has been replaced by electronical switch. Cons of this solution is that the cost of the motor is a little bit higher due to the permanent magnet. You have to have an initial investment in terms of cost for designing a BLDC application a little bit higher than the AC motor, and it requires a controller. This controller is called an inverter. So what is an inverter? An inverter is a DC-AC converter. It converts the energy from DC to AC. And using an 6 IGBT or MOSFET, we can create from a DC bus, depending on the PWM sequencing, a 3 AC voltage that will feed the motor winding. Using this inverter, what we will see is that we can have a variable frequency drive, and also having this variable frequency drive and being able to modulate the speed and the power, we will save some energy, and it's up to 50% of energy. So why using this technology is because it saves energy and give higher performance. The saving is around 40-50%, as you can see here with a DC brushless motor. Then you have a more comfortable usage of the application. You can have a better control of the speed of a fan, for example, or when you have an air conditioner, you can better control the speed of the fan and the temperature given by the air conditioner. Also, the brushless DC motor, as there's no mechanical friction and so on, you have less noise, audible noise in the application, and you have a more silence application. And for example, for dishwasher, also the fact that you have a better control of the speed and you will spray the water better. Will have a better spray of the water, and you will save some water in dishwasher. So one other trend in motor is to integrate the inverter inside the motor, and you can see many cases of application where this integration take place. You have the inverter directly attached to the motor in this industrial motor. This is to reduce the cabling, the EMI content, and optimize the drive in order to be closer to the motor and react faster. And the fact that you have only one block, motor plus inverter, it's easier to handle and make the assembly at the customer location. For fans, most of the time the control is already integrated in the rotor. And a trend for the electrical car is to integrate the inverter directly inside the motor and inside the wheel, and having 4 motors for each wheel. Regarding a block diagram of an industrial control, is really simple. And you can see that the green block are the block we offer inside on. We offer the rectifier, the isolated or non-isolated power supply, the gate driver, the DC-DC to step down the voltage from the gate driver to the microcontroller, the IGBT or the power module to drive the motor, and the current sensor and voltage sensor. The only missing pieces is the microcontroller that we don't have, or the controller that we don't have inside onsummer. Why moving to a module in a motor application? It's just because it's simpler and you have only one component. Instead of having, for example, 6 IGBT plus gate driver and so on, you have all integrated in one package, and this package is optimized to reduce EMI. It reduces also the BOM in terms of quantity of component, in terms of storage in the assembly. It simplified the design because the layout of the power part is already done inside the module. And it reduced the assembly cost because you have only one component to assembly instead of screwing six IGBT on a heatsink using isolation foil and so on. That makes the assembly much more complicated. Regarding key application in home application, I already shown some of them, like air conditioner, refrigerator, washing machine, dishwasher, fans, circulation pump in heat system. In industrial environment, it's mainly a high voltage air conditioner, industrial pump. In factory automation, we have a robot, crane, conveyors, escalator, and so on. In all those applications in the industry, you have motor drive. So how we can split those applications, mainly single phase application will be up to 5 kilowatts. And you see that in the range of below 100 watts, it's mainly fan and pump for heating, for example, heating system. Up to 2 kilowatts, we will find all the white good application and in industrial, in commercial application and industrial, we will have all the servo drive for various pump and servo drive. Above, we will have all the heat pump and the high voltage air conditioner. And above 2 kilowatts, we start to use 3-phase, and it's the same application, but with much more powerful motors that will drive more heavy load with the motor. So regarding the existing portfolio in Onsemi, we have what we call integrated power module, or IPM. It's because those modules integrate all what you need. We start with an isolation substrate where we make the assembly of the, the power switches and the diodes. And on a separate lead frame, we add the gate driver. And then we can add passive components like the shunt resistor or the thermal sensors. And at the end, we mold all of that, and you have a complete structure completely isolated. So for that, we have many key components that we use, like silicon, IGBT, MOSFET, depending on the power. So regarding the module range, we have the low power range of module that is quite populated with several packages. We have successful packages like SPM5, the new DPS6 that we introduced, the SPM45, and the single inline combo module. For higher power, we have a module with the SPM41 that I will describe, and the 14 and the 49 that I will describe later. And we have the SPM3 and SPM34. And we are investing also a high power range, higher level, with automotive qualifying module for EV cars. So regarding application for those modules, we already covered that. For the low power range, it's mainly consumer application with all the motors in dishwasher, washing machine, air conditioner, fans, pump. And for higher power in industrial application, we will have all the robot, fans, motor control. And for the high power end, we will have the EV car application. Regarding for a simple schematic of a motor control, we have the rectifier made with diode and sometimes the PFC. I don't know why in Europe it's not so mandatory, but in US there are. We offer module with PFC and rectifier integrated. It can be a single boost application or two-phase boost or two-phase boost with silicon carbide diode for increasing the efficiency and the power capability. We have module with the 6 IGBT needed for the inverter, and the protection and some the gate driver and the bootstrap diodes. Protection means the current sensors. And we have module integrating the PFC and the inverter in one single package that we call combo module. So to help you to select the right module, the right integrated power module, on our website under the Power Supply Web Designer, you have the motion control tool, and you just enter that tool. You need an onsemi account to enter that tool, but as soon as you have the account, you can enter that tool. So the tool is very simple. You just enter the parameters of the motor and your application. For example, here I have displayed some parameters like the motor power factor, and so and modulation index, the RMS current. Then you select the type of module you want to use, and hit Analyze Design. Then you get the result. You see many parameters like the parameters you have entered, the parameters that have been calculated by the software, and all the losses inside the motor and the waveform of the motor. And at the end, you can get all those information as a report, as a PDF report that you can save and store to compare different module or different operating condition. So the new release product that we have inside onsemi, we have 3 new products: the SPM49, SPM41, and the DPS6. The SPM49 is made to replace the large DIP from one of our competitors. And we covering the same range of the same range in terms of voltage and current, up to 75 amp with the 650 volt and up to 50 amp with the 1200 volt. But the construction of the module is a little bit different compared to our competitor, where they are using some kind of metal tab with an isolation foil to transfer the heat from the IGBT and the diode to the heatsink. We, in onsemi, have decided to use a DBC in order to increase the thermal capability of the module, or to reduce the the junction temperature inside the module. So with the same footprint, in fact, we will be able to cover a wider range of power and having higher current capability. So this is our test bench where we make some tests to test our module, and this is the way we have attached the thermocouple here to measure the case temperature of the module while it's operating. And so if we compare our module to our competitor module, you see that for 5 kilohertz operation of the inverter, you don't see a big difference, except when you are running full power, for example, 47 amp, you see 10-degree difference between the two modules in terms of case temperature. That's not so much. But if you go to 15 kilohertz, you see that the difference is almost 25 degrees at 30 amp. So you have a big difference at high frequency with our module, allowing the module to operate in a cooler environment and operate longer. The SPM31, it is the same story. We have redesigned the module to use a DBC, and that's why we can offer a 20 amp in 1200 volt, and we will offer a 75 amp in 650 volt module for that application. And you can see here, this is the same structure. We have used a DBC instead of an isolation foil that has a bad thermal coupling. You see that it's 1.17 degrees C per watt compared to our 1 degree C per watt, so a 12% decrease in terms of thermal impedance. The DPAS6 is a new package, much smaller than our competitor for mainly consumer application. For 600 volt, so a single phase application, and up to 15 amp. We will release the module soon. And we cover a range from 3 amp to 15 amp with this module, covering all the application like washing machine, air conditioner, fan, refrigerator, dishwasher, and so on, and all kind of pump up to 1 kilowatt. For this module and some other module, we have also evaluation board. You can see here the evaluation board of the DPAS6 for 1 kilowatt. So this board and all the information is available under the link on this slide. You will find the application schematic or the application block. And on this application board, you will see the DPAS6 as a component of FunctionArray. You will find also our fast comparator for current protection and current sensors also. The auxiliary supply is made out of an NCP 1063, and we have included an interleaf PFC of 1 kilowatt with the NCP 1632. To complete that, you will find on the product page of this application board all the documentation. You will find also the graphic user interface to control the application board, and you will find also the video to demonstrate this demo board, the user manual of this board, and all the and you can order this board, and you can also get the Gerber file of this board. So regarding this new concept of transfer mold power integrated module, we start from the point that if we take a regular module, a gel film module, and we do some thermal cycling, so just taking the module, putting at minus 65, and sometime after putting at 150 degrees and back to minus 65 and so on, without any power. If we, instead of using gel in those modules, we replace the gel by a molded compound, epoxy, for example, epoxy mold, we multiply by 10 the thermal capability of this module. If we look to the power cycling, it means I turn on the module or turn on the application, turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off. I can see that if I replace the gel field by this epoxy compound, I multiply by 2 the number of thermal cycling, the power cycling that will withstand the module. So the module will be able to last twice the lifetime of a regular module, just by replacing the gel by the molding compound. But now, if I take a full molded module and I compare to a gel film module, I can see that my power cycling capability is multiplied by 3. My thermal cycling capability remains 10 times better. This doesn't change, but we have also a better thermal performance because we can use thinner DBC, because in gel film module, the DBC is your mechanical structure. Here, the mechanical structure is reinforced by the molding, and so we can use thinner DBC that will allow better heat transfer inside from the die, the IGBT and the diode die or the MOSFET, to the heatsink. So this is another view of this comparison about the thermal cycling. Some detail. You can see that with transfer mold pin, after 1000 cycle, we don't see any failure or any defect. While in gel film module, after 100 cycle, we can see some delamination and catastrophic delamination after 500 cycle. And even with a base plate, you see some delamination on the base plate after 100 cycle or 500 cycle. Our transfer mold pin module is made in a way that we ensure you 6 millimeter distance between the pin and the heatsink. You can just plug the heatsink on top of the module, and if your heatsink is flat, we have guarantee 6 millimeters between the pin and the heatsink, allowing you 6 millimeter creepage distance without any need of extra isolation layer or special tricks to reduce the heatsink size or the special tooling of the heatsink to have the 6 millimeters. Regarding the power density, the module is very dense because for the same module, 1200 volt, 500 amp CIB module, you see that our volume is 35% less than a standard module because we have less plastic and less mechanic around the module. So the module, inside the module is what we call a CIB for a converter. This is the 6 diode rectifier bridge. B for the brake, it's an IGBT and a diode where you put generally a resistive load to, when you are braking the motor, dissipate the heat or dissipate the energy of the braking through it, and not dissipate the heat. It's to dissipate the energy of the braking to heat with a resistor. And we have the inverter that is a 6-pack or 6 IGBT in a 3 half-bridge configuration. So regarding the portfolio of this new generation of module, we cover a current from 25 to 50, 75 amp or 100 amp. We'll have 2 types of module, the CIB or the CI, or in fact 3. But if we consider CI or CIB as one complete solution, we have also the 6-pack solution where it will be only the inverter, or it can be used as a 3-phase PFC also. And with 2 modules, you make the full application. And the advantages is that the 2 modules has the same packaging, and so the same mechanical assembly, and the same can be put on the same heatsink. So it simplifies a lot the mechanical assembly. So the low power range is already released, and the high power range is currently in design and should be released soon. I show you this module with what we call dual inline 26 pin, but for covering higher power rating above 100 amp and above 10 kilowatt, we are currently developing some kind of rectangular module with pin on the 4 side in order to increase the power density in the same footprint, and also having a compact design to reduce the leakage inductance of the pin, or the leakage inductance between the pin to the active component, to have better EMI and better performances. So regarding the pro and cons of the various modules that we offer, or the various solutions, any kind of module can be designed with discrete component, and you can see here where discrete component can be applied. It will be from 50 to 100, above 100 amp, up to 1200 volt. Some discrete are available up to 1600 volt. If we look to IPM, integrating the high voltage driver, it's mainly 500, 600 or 1200 volt application, and maximum 100 amp. We do not cover higher than 100 amp. If we talk about power integrated module without driver, we can cover a more wider range, up to 500 amp, and up to sometimes 4,500 volts. So regarding if we compare the three solutions between discrete module with driver and module without driver, the advantages of discrete is that you can find any kind of component. It's very flexible. You have many different packages and many different way of assembly of those packages. And you can tune easily the EMC and the EMI. IPM, it's really, you have one package with all inside IGBT, diode or MOSFET, gate driver, bootstrap, and so on. It's very simple, as I demonstrated at the beginning. It's a one package solution. The advantage is that it's a full pack, completely molded with a good durability. Depending on the heat transfer capability and needed, we will use different kind of packaging, so a full mold without any heat interface, or we can have isolated metal substrate, ceramic, DBC. Mainly it's dual inline or single inline package, and they are fully isolated and you don't need an extra isolation. PIM modules are just the power part, like IGBT, diode, and MOSFET, without any driver. They are assembly on the isolated metal substrate, on the isolated plate, aluminum or DBC, like EMS. And the packaging is mainly press fit. And they use silicone gel to make the isolation. So if we look in terms of integration, discrete is the less integrated solution. It will consume you a lot of space and a lot of space on the assembly and requiring a complex assembly. Power integrated module, as they integrate all the power device, is quite dense in terms of integration, but the most integrated module is with the driver and with the resistor, the bootstrap diode, and the thermal sensors. If we look in terms of configuration, discrete is very flexible. You can do any kind of configuration, any kind of schematic. It can be discrete are used everywhere, and you don't have to take really care when you select a device. And it can be applied for any kind of application in terms of motor control. The IPM is less flexible because you have mainly two different or three different configurations. The three-phase inverter with the gate driver, the rectifier with the PFC, or the combo module integrating both in one module. The PIM module are a little bit more flexible. You find more configuration. You can find the CIB, converter, inverter, break, or only the inverter, or only the rectifier, or only an half-bridge configuration, or more dedicated topology for solar, like TNPC or NPC structure. Now, if you look at the module in terms of, or this tree solution, in terms of thermal impedance. If we look only the package, we have the thermal impedance between the junction to case, and the discrete solution is the one with the lower thermal impedance. In IPM, we have generally a ceramic isolator that is not as good as a DBC sometimes. But if we use a DBC, we have a good thermal impedance. On IPM, we have a very good thermal impedance because we use mainly DBC and the more advanced DBC, and sometimes we increase that by adding a base plate. But now, if we look at the thermal impedance between the junction to the heatsink, as in discrete, you are obliged to insert a thermal interface material that will be also making the isolation barrier between the tab of the device and the heatsink. This thermal isolation material has a an impedance that is not neglectable, and that will increase, in fact, the thermal impedance from junction to heatsink. While in IPM or PIM, you don't need any extra thermal impedance interface material, and your junction to case is directly your junction to heatsink thermal impedance. And this is why, at the end, the module has a lower impedance, is because the isolation layer is directly integrated inside the module, and you don't need this extra isolation layer that will decrease the thermal capability of your assembly. So in terms of power rating, now, discrete is the less capable because you have many components, so you have after that to increase the number of components in parallel because you cannot use a large die and or make a simple assembly of 2 die inside the application. While in IPM, we have a good assembly, but as we have also the driver, not the full surface of the module is used as to transfer the heat. And in this sense, the junction to case to heatsink thermal impedance is a little bit lower compared to the transformer pin or the PIM module, where almost all the surface of the module is used to transfer the heat from the die to the heatsink. So to conclude, first conclusion is if I compare the 3 types of assembly, this is some rating in terms of 3-star, 2-star, or 1-star regarding the different solutions. As we have seen, the PCB usage for discrete is very poor. The design from the user is very complex because you have a lot of assembly constraint. Reliability, you have many components, it's less reliable. The assembly process is quite complex. On IPM with driver integrated, we solve those spacing issues, those design time for the user, the failure rate is better, the lifetime is better. But most of the time you have no dual source, or we have shown some dual source today. And you have to stay to the portfolio available. And you are not very flexible in terms of design. With power integrated module, they are a little bit more flexible with the structure because you can find either half bridge or single component in module. It means very big dies, but they still have a higher cost and not as best in terms of PCB saving or reliability due to what we've seen with gel film module that have less power cycling capability and thermal cycling capability. Now, if I introduce our new transformer PIM, they are almost the same as power integrated module, except that they have a better lifetime and better failure rate and better reliability. For the moment, there's no dual source for this because it's a new concept that we introduced in on. And we have I show you that we have a complete portfolio of module for motor drive application. So to conclude my presentation, before you will have time to ask questions, BLDC motor has been widely adopted and require an inverter to drive it. This is the drawback of this technology of motor that allows us to have a better efficiency of the application, more silent application, and consume less power in those days where energy efficiency counts. As I have shown you, OnSummit offer you many solutions for making a motor drive application or an inverter required to drive the BLDC motor. We can have a discrete solution with discrete part, diode, IGBT, MOSFET, and so on. An integrated power module with the IGBT, the diode, the power diode, and the driver integrated in one component. and the power integrated module, where we have only the power part of the module. But I show you that we have introduced for reliability purpose our new transfer mold power integrated module for motor drive. This is for having a higher power density. You see that the module is more integrated, is using less space on the PCB for the same current rating. It has a better thermal conductivity. We have demonstrated with thermal cycling and power cycling that we can offer much higher reliability with this transfer mold concept. And this will give you a longer lifetime in terms of the module, but also on the application and the customer application. And if you have a longer lifetime, also you have less maintenance needed, and you have less cost of operation of the system. So this is the end of my presentation. I think we will open the session for questions.
Yes, DJ. You are still hearing me? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, great. That was a great presentation, DJ, from wherever you are. We lost you at the start of the webinar, but we've recovered you on 4G, I think. It's very interesting. Yes. Thanks for that. And still doing the presentation is a quite complex subject matter. And in fact, we've received a few questions, which I'd like to propose to you on the screen, and I will present them. Let me have a look. I've got a list in front of me here. Here's one. So, this is from Chris Skikluna. Sorry, Chris, if we pronounce your name incorrectly, but how does the TPIM package affect the parasitic inductance between the DC link terminals and high side and low side switches compared to the other packages, of course, DJ?
What we have measured about the leakage inductance, we are in a range of, if I remember, 10 or 20 nano henries between the pin to the die.
So nano henries you're mentioning. Nano henries, PJ. Yeah, okay.
Very dense package and very short connection.
Mm-hmm. Also, from my side, does that include the PCB design? Is that critical in any way to control that parasitic inductance?
The pin of the module has been in place in a way that they are in the same placement as the schematic. You have one side with the input AC line, and on both sides, the positive and the negative edge, after the rectifier, the brake, and the inverter. So the module is made somehow the same way as the schematic, in line, I can say, with the application flow or the power flow. In this way, it facilitates the layout of the PCB, and we will soon release an application board where you will see the recommended layout.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that is as far as the inductance goes. Always interesting for high-frequency applications and radio stuff and so on. Here is another one, DJ. How do the different packages, from Melanie, how do the different packages compare under extreme relative humidity? Because, you know, that may happen in certain countries and areas.
Yes, definitely. The fact we use the transfer mold packaging, we are more robust against humidity. We didn't do the test, or I don't remember the result. Anyway, Melanie, if you want some, you can contact me. But I'm sure that with molding package, we have much better result regarding humidity testing and humidity environment. Gel is a little bit porosity with humidity, and this is not good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Final one, I think, DJ. Hopefully it's not bothering you or troubling you. What's the largest motor your customers have told you they were using? I saw kilo amps passing and hundreds of amps and hundreds of very powerful motors.
Yes.
Have you any anecdote about the very largest motors you have seen or have heard of?
I'm French, and I have visited Schneider Passy, and they have a motor in the, I think, in the showroom that is about 2 meter diameter.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I don't know what is the power of this motor, but
No.
2 meter diameter motor, I think this is a unique pieces to see in my life.
Yeah, I can well imagine. So that must be huge, and
It should be huge. I don't know the power rating, but the cable of 10 centimeter diameters to fit this motor.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Okay, DJ, that was the last question from our side, from the Q&A box. Let me have a look if there are anyone late arrivals. No, don't see any. And I think Beatrice and DJ, of course, we can wrap up, not without saying that all questions again will be answered by DJ in writing, if possible, by email through the system. We thank everybody for watching and attending on this afternoon webinar. We've learned a lot about motors in general, and extremely powerful and reliable motors in specifically. Thank you, DJ. The last words are for you, of course, the presenter. Go ahead.
Thank you for attending the session, and I hope that you have discovered a new way of driving motors, and this will help you to solve your reliability and application about motor.
Yep, that's, I think, a very powerful conclusion. Thank you, DJ, and hope to see you or hear from you next time.